Penso che una musica ha un suo destino che è incontrollabile dall'autore e fuori dalla sua volontà, il destino.
Une musique a son destin propre qui est absolument hors du contrôle de l'auteur et donc la musique a son destin.
Il compositore scrive, io scrivo e la musica dopo va.
Le compositeur écrit, moi j'écris donc et ensuite la musique a
qualche volta più fortunata, qualche volta meno fortunata.
Shallowness. There's no depth of perception, intellectually or spiritually. It's just like this morose of the ordinary. And it's like, fucking wake up, you know? How can you even be proud on whether I could support them doing this, you know? And I said, if I make the same money as I make in my job, which wasn't a lot, but I can't survive with less, I'll do it. So they managed to say that they would pay me. And you know, it happened very quickly. We were just the opposite of that. We were a bunch of guys that drank beer and watched football and tried to find blondes. We wanted Cadillacs. We wanted blondes. We wanted switchblades. We wanted all the American things that people were pretending like they didn't want. You know, we wanted all the glamorous things in life. You know.
So Merseyside is something that's very much in my soul. I grew up in that part of the world, and Lennon is somebody I really admire. You know, he's probably like my number one. I think it's probably like my number one hero musician.
So now, drumming really took a radical turn for me a couple years ago when I realized that.
What? The thing was, I had Rod in the band, and that he was my right arm. You know, I think that he sang better than Hendrix. And Hendrix was just a throwaway. You know, his lyrics were so strong, but it was just a small part of his act. Whereas Rod was a big part of my act, and I didn't really have.
You know, but it was true that during that time I didn't have many opportunities to put my songs on albums, and so consequently I had a lot of songs I'd written that were all waiting to be recorded, and so for me it was really good when the Beatles split up and I could just go and do my solos.
Because I remember growing up and it was like grown-ups saying, you didn't have a water fight, you know, and we were always saying, no, bugger, you know, it was like her saying,
to me, I feel great when I play, you know, and it's something that I've ignored for many years. And I sort of got it back again or something, you know. Like it's just
I think it totally benefits the band in that I've carried on making records for the last X amount of years since the band split up. I think that benefits the band.
Well, no, my first gig I ever went to when I was 11, was Téléphone, and it was the support band was Tessimatic.
It's a bit like this album. I think there's something going on. It's definitely about being attracted to bad things or watching too much television. I think I've always drunk too much coffee and too much tea.
You know, I was with Chris, you know, I was his girlfriend, and I wanted to look nice, and I also wanted to embody the tastes of the time.
The guitar, because there was no guitarist, I had to start playing more and more guitar, and you know, the only time I've really played guitar is on stage with Marley Music, and on the record a bit on that, and then on stage with a bit with Gorillaz.
Le petit secret, c'est qu'on a un Memory Moog qu'on a acheté au keyboardiste de Motley Crue. Et Motley Crue en fait a tourné avec ce keyboardiste, et donc il y a plein de sons de démons de la seule rock.
On va prendre Motley Crue aussi.
Voilà.
C'est les 3 albums qu'on fait avec les sons de Motley Crue.
Ouais, je te jure, hein. Personne ne le sait.
D'ailleurs, ils l'ont pas en noir, tu vois, parce qu'on fait de Ardos. Ouais, sans blague. Donc il est super beau, il est noir. C'est trop drôle.
In a way, you shouldn't give working class people money because working class culture is all about kind of like going out a weekend and getting off your head, because David's weekly life is kind of shit. So you give the working class person some money.
And maybe instead of a photograph of us, you could have describe what we look like to a child. The child could draw us, and that would complete the whole picture. That would be great.
Yeah.
Would you try and do that?
Well, I can try.
Oh.
I can try. Much commitment on the Woodstock album. No, the Woodstock album doesn't have any music recorded at Woodstock. It's all recorded at the Phil Maurice, isn't it?
I don't know.
All our stuff.
Was it?
Yeah. It's not from Woodstock.
Voilà, en fait, on s'est dit, il n'y a rien qui nous retient dans ce qu'on a fait avant. Là où on veut aller, il n'y a rien qui nous retient. On a rien à faire.
Parce que, comme on n'écoutait que des trucs chantés en anglais, des disques américains, des disques anglais, je sais pas, c'était hyper... même en français, déjà, si on voulait chanter, ça sonnerait pas, déjà, on le sait.
In the art schools, I wanted to become a mystic pop singer, where I'd take mystical ideas from Buddhism and Celtic mythology and put it into pop, and hope to help to change, be part of the rebellion, the revolution, which was called the 60s.
Someone I met on the streets called me from Paris, a Parisian, and said, hey, I'm putting a band together, do you want to sing? And I said, okay.
The biggest misconception is that songwriters should want to elaborate on their songs in interviews. I don't understand that.
Yes, too much of everything. We'd had a #1 record. We'd done all these things, and we were on top of the world. Why carry on when you've done that? And we weren't really communicating very well together.
I was living in a neuropsychiatric institute. I had already written the songs in a bare apartment overlooking the Sunset Strip. James, I had no microphone. I just jammed and made my voice loud by putting my hand up and yelling songs.
But by calling the album After and Baby, it looked humorous. Watch out, baby. And it's like it threw people off, and the Zoo TV was just this giant spectacle in a way to distract people's attention from how serious the songs were.
J'ai effectué la cassette avec la guitare et boîte, que j'ai retrouvé d'ailleurs il n'y a pas longtemps. Avec un petit visuel que j'avais fait sur fond jaune, enfin un truc très années 80. Et il y avait Ne dire pas, enfin toutes les premières chansons. Et il m'avait dit avec ça, jamais tu feras quoi que ce soit.
But some of the things that you didn't release on purpose. Because it wasn't either the wrong version of a song where you didn't like it, or it was just a piece of crap.
I always liked the very first album, McCartney, that I did, and a lot of people talk to me about that album because it's just so different, and because it's so pure, recording it, going straight to the back of the tape recorder.
All I was doing was wanting music to sound like music. I wanted the drums to sound like the drums that I heard on records when I grew up, and guitars and basses and keyboards, and so I wasn't trying to be retro, I was just trying to make the instruments sound pure.
People say to me, they often say, Elliot, I really respect you because you never sold out. You never tried to make just a hit single, And I say to them, I try all the time to sell out. Yeah. I try to make it, but I don't know how, Because when I'm really writing a song.
No, because the questions that fascinate me and fascinate us are questions that have fascinated everybody since the beginning of the world. Why are we here? Where do we go? How do girls work? And why are politicians so horrible? The 4 big questions.
It could be reversed, it could be how the politician works.
Why are girls so horrible? No.
As soon as we heard him play, David Bowie and I looked at each other and we were astounded. We said, we have to keep him. He's the guitar player.